Alright, this is going to be hopefully a pretty short video. So, this is my tier list. If you saw my Twitter, I just posted this. I wanted to advertise that the video tomorrow or today when you're watching this is I'm going to be trying to buff the characters I consider low tier, bottom tier, low mid tier, you know, could use buffs, could be higher. And we're going to start with the most obvious, which is Goku Whack. JM hitbox increase downward. Now what this would do is it would make his cross up better and it would make his double overhead game better. If you don't know already, he can't use his double overhead after an air dash on certain short characters and a lot of crouching characters if they crouch for long enough before the JM. So that would hopefully increase a little bit of the chances he could hit you. 214S 24 frames. This is pretty standard shit. Everyone always complains about how slow the grab is, and this would just make it a little bit faster, harder to see. If you're wondering why it's not unreactable levels of speed, it's because he already has a beam, which looks a lot like the 214S, and I don't want to make it too good, even though it's already pretty neutered. I think this is fair. He's not really supposed to be a mix-up character. If you've noticed, Arxis likes making characters that like can't really mix people up, but they can play neutral pretty good. So, yeah. 2M 9 or 10 frame startup. What this would do is another mix-up buff. If you do Super Dash plus Assist with Goku Black's 2M, it's very uncommon you're going to hit people because it's like a really slow 11... His fastest low is a really slow 11 frames. That makes it really hard to input fast enough that it could actually translate into a good mix-up. So this would also hopefully increase his mix-up game and potentially also his staggers. 5S eats other Ki Blast, basically increase the projectile durability. So I want it to even beat Broly's Ki Blast, but it can only eat up to 3. And the reason I only want it to eat up to 3 is because if it could eat more than 3... he would have the best Ki Blast in the game, and he already has good neutral tools like a beam and a dive kick and all that kind of shit, so I don't want it to be too broken, but at the same time, he also doesn't really have a good grounded option for his Ki Blasts. He only has one single Ki Blast, and it's really not a great option because there's other Ki Blasts in the game that travel the same speed but are also multiple hits, so I think that would at least give him something to run behind and maybe buff his neutral a little bit. 236 S series should be cancelable, and what do I mean by this? Well, his lariats, if you reflect after the Ki Blast on his light lariat, which is a common block string ender on Goku Black, if you happen to go anything past his mediums, certain characters like Bardock can reflect the second hit and then punish for free. Even though it says it's safe on block, it's really not. If anyone has decent reactions, they can punish it for no reason. So if you can cancel it, you can at least make it a mix-up where you can reflect bait after that. And the reason why I made all of them cancelable is because you can cancel them and then he won't be as punishable if he uses them in neutral, which I think would be really strong. And it would make his neutral that much better. 214X series should be frame 4 and... oh, I already went down. 214X series should be... oh my god, Jesus Christ. 214X series should be frame 4 and Vuln, maybe EX frame 1. The reason I want to give him something as a reversal option is because he doesn't have really good mix-ups and not like great ways to hit you. If he could get out of pressure, that could be like a decent supplement to not being able to have great pressure. His pressure is not actually that bad, but like, you know what I'm saying. If he doesn't really have ways to make you super scared on block like certain other characters have, like Kid Buu or Majin Buu or Base Vegeta or anyone up here, then at the very least, you can give him tools that can let him get out of pressure. And you might be wondering why, this is kind of broken. You know, EX... being frame 1, and then you could maybe punish someone who does a normal with too much recovery, that'd be pretty broken. Likewise, though, if they bait it and you press a button, it's basically the same thing as a held vanish game. And, you know, a held vanish is a full bar and requires spark, so you can argue that would make it more, that makes it more balanced than, say, an EX. But at the same time, this character really doesn't have anything, so if you really don't think that would be balanced, just make it another frame 4. That's really not too bad considering certain characters like Tien have a safe on block, meterless, frame 4 guard point, not even armored, guard point, that he can combo off of and 2-touch off of. So it's really not that bad. So that would be how I buff Goku Black. Next is Videl. Dodge input move to 2-2S and dodges grabs. If you didn't know already, when this character first came out, I think early Season 2 or like late Season 1, I forgot which one, the dodge actually did use to dodge grabs. It could dodge through Dragon Rush, it could dodge through command grabs. They actually removed that, and I don't understand why they did it, because as of right now, dodge is literally just a useless version of Reflect. So at least back then it had some kind of unique use. This would bring back the old dodge, but make it harder to do so it's not just a single input, and also give her a Reflect. And the reason why a Reflect is so important, if you're not aware, Videl loses really hard to literally anyone with a Ki Blast, because if they Ki Blast vanish, the common best way to get rid of it, because it's actually a true block string, is to Reflect, because Ki Blasts allow you to Reflect after you block them. However, Videl can't Reflect, which basically means she's even less advantaged for doing the correct option and reflecting after the Ki Blast, and just gets punished for playing the game. So if she has a Reflect, she'd actually have decent Reflect punish game with 6H and EX Lariat and Gohan. So this would make her a better character. And the last thing, I would just make her 4MM string work more like Cell's, and because her pressure should be better than it is, and her pressure is definitely not bad. It's definitely not like to the level of, let's say, who has shit pressure in this game? Maybe you. I don't know. He has shit normals. Her pressure game is definitely not the worst in the game, but I think she would benefit from being a lot scarier in your face. The frame data on the 4MM is worse than if you just did a regular 5M, and it ends up even closer. It doesn't actually space away, it spaces you even more towards. So it's basically only useful for getting an extra hit of damage and having an extra hit in the block string, which doesn't really do anything. So if you could at least frame trap and space using like it was Cell's, that would probably increase her her scariness on block a little bit. And that's all she really needs. She's mostly a fine character. She just has like problems playing the game. Ssj Goku 214X series can be cancelled. What do I mean by this? So the little Tatsu move, I want you to be able to hold the button and it only does one hit, or press it again and it will just stop doing the hits. So it doesn't have to be like an instant recovery to make his block strings unescapable or whatever, but if you could cancel it and, like, let's say frame trap using it, that would be really good. You can, like, sort of frame trap your block strings. You could add an extra gap, reflect bait people, all that kind of shit that would just make his pressure a little bit better, because his normals are a little bit weird in doing that right now. 236H is frame 4 invuln instead of frame 9. The reason I would do this is, again, because he doesn't have great ways of mixing you up. If he could at least escape pressure better, that would be really cool. And also, a big reason I want this frame 4 is it would also increase its neutral use. I would also, let me add this. The reason why I want it to have increased vulnerability is because often you'll like vanish through something and then something will still hit you when you come back on the other side or come back in front of them. So if the invulnerability was increased until the move finished, that would also be really cool. And it would also help his neutral, like I just said. 2M is 10 frames again. The reason why I want 2M 10 frames again is because if you do Super Dash plus Assist with Ssj Goku, his 2M is only low. Is way too slow, and you can't really do a great mix-up off of it, so it would at least let him have some way to open people up, aside from conditioning with an overhead that does no damage. Zamasu. Very simple buffs, and even though he's memed as like a really shitty character, he really doesn't need a lot. 5S hits crouchers. The reason this is important is because there are characters, Ssj Goku himself can fucking dash forward and dash under Zamasu's 5S, and that's fucking horrible, and I hate it. 236S series now X series now projectile Ki Blast invuln. I don't want it to be invulnerable to beams because I think it's important that Zamasu doesn't have good neutral, because once he's in, he's really strong. But if he had some way of dealing with characters completely invalidating him, that would also be good. It's not like I'm asking for them to speed it up or make it even longer range. It's just a little mid-range projectile control. And that's really good because a lot of characters rely on their ki blasts at mid-range footsies range. So this would improve his mid-range a lot. 2 through 6S hold. Oh my god. 2 through 6S hold now has guard point on frame 4. And the reason I want him to do this is, again, he doesn't have great neutral, so if someone gets in on him, which is really easy to do, and like gets a vanish or something, he could have some kind of reversal option that's not his garbage level 3. And actually, speaking of that, I might add level 3 tracking improved. And the reason this is because I have a friend that plays Zamasu, and it has happened too many times that I fucking super dash at him, and he level 3s me out of flight because he can't do like an anti-air out of flight or whatever. And my super dash dashes forward, the fucking level 3 misses, and then I punish him for it. And that really should not be happening. So level 3 tracking improved, sped up. There we go. That would fix that. Frieza. Frieza doesn't need a lot either. He's actually not a horrible character. 2 through 6 S series, X series, now true block strings into vanish. This is important because he has no real way of approaching, and his zoning game isn't the best in the game to compensate. So Broly, for example, can both zone way better than Frieza and approach way better. So instead of having something to dash behind, because I don't think that's feasible aside from the discs, which suck, just let him do his explosions into vanish. He used to be able to. They nerfed it. I don't know why they nerfed it. A assist tracking improved. This is important because mid-screen you can't even combo off of his A assist, off of a 6M with his A assist. That shit sucks. I hate it. It should just track. Just let it track. 2H no longer a projectile. This is important because in the Broly matchup, again, another thing Broly invalidates about Frieza, if he puts up the barrier and he super dashes at Frieza, Frieza can't do anything because his 2H is a projectile and it doesn't work, and then Broly punishes him for doing the correct option. So if that was fixed, it wouldn't clash with beams and it wouldn't lose to as many situations. It would just be a disjoint, and then it would actually be a good normal. 2-2S, attack can be cancelled. Oh my god. 2-2S, attack can be cancelled by double tapping S, tracking improved. Again, the reason I did this... Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay, the reason I did this is because Frieza already has a frame 4 reversal. If you didn't know, this is actually frame 4 invulnerable. People can use this to escape vanish pressure. But it doesn't track very good. It's fucking useless. So, in order to fix the fact that it's only useful in combos and it's not even barely useful in that anymore, you can use this as a pressure thing. Like, just fixing its reversal shit. You know what I'm talking about. Cooler. 2 through 6M and H now +4 on block. The only reason I did this is because he doesn't really have great mix-up, so I think his pressure should be even scarier. It's already kind of scary, but like just make it super scary because that's his whole character. JM speed increased from 12 frames to 10 frames. This is done again because he can't double overhead certain characters because his JM is too fucking slow. And it would also speed up his cross-up, which would let him hit characters more, which is good because he doesn't have great mix-ups. 2L is now a low, but speed is now 7 frames. This is pretty standard. Most lows are 7 frames this game. The reason I did that is so in the corner he has a means of hitting people, and you might be wondering, hey, maybe that would make him too good. I don't care. It would make him viable. 236L on hit has longer untech time, longer knockdown. The reason I did this is because if you do your air dash M as a safe jump after your 236L on a knockdown, it actually won't even meaty them. They could still 2H and be completely invincible. And any character that has good pressure after their block 2H basically fucks Cooler over. And I hate it. It's horrible. So just let him get a proper meaty on his knockdowns because his knockdown game is horrible. So that would help that at least. 5S now has a 6S and 2S variant with greater/lesser horizontal range air. Okay, the reason I did this was because despite the fact that he does have good neutral, and I'm not going to say he doesn't have good neutral, his ground coverage, aside from just the command low and a beam and the 3H, is horrible. So if he had like a less committal way of like closing grounded range, that would be pretty cool. It doesn't even technically go full screen because it's not horizontal. What it would do was it would like hit their toes. So if someone tries to approach you, the 5S will just clip them, and that would be really cool. So that would be a decent change. Super Broly. 5S has less recovery. This improves block strings. Why does it improve block strings? Number one, he doesn't have anything safe aside from a special move, which is important because that means people are very prone to using OSs to escape your block strings, like, for example, dash block and fuzzy jump. So if he had something that like threatened people not to do those things, like for example a -3 ki blast, that would be really helpful. As of right now, his Ki Blast is -7, and it doesn't space very well in the corner. So if he had something like that, that would be really useful. 214L and H now have 22 frame startup. The reason I did this is because I don't want to make his grab unreactable because he can combo off of it, but it also doesn't catch any people at all. It doesn't really catch as many people as it should in top level. I'm not going to say it doesn't catch anybody, because it does. I would be a lie. I corrected myself. But I think it should catch more people. And that's his like primary mix-up, because his cross-up is kind of slow, and his same set super dash is like not horrible, but it could be better. So if he's a command grab character, his grab should be like one of his better things about him. Armor now on 5M, 2M, 2H, 2M4X, J2H. And the reason why I did this is because he's a fucking Broly, and he has big, slow normals, but for some reason they suck when this Broly exists. So if he had armor, his normals would be fixed. A assist. Block stun increased from 22 frames to 26 frames, and I just did this so he can, so his assist would be better for pressure. Android 16. J2H speed increased and now hits overhead, and I did this because if he had J2H increased, he would have a way of getting sliding knockdowns meterlessly, and that's important. Even though the knockdown would suck, it's still something. The hits overhead is done because he doesn't have great pressure overall, and this would well, he does have great pressure, but his frame data sucks. So if he had even more layers to hit people, that would improve, you know, just general having plus frames and all that kind of stuff. 2 through 6 MNH now have armor. The reason I did this is because he doesn't have a lot of armor, and he suffers from another problem like Super Broly, where his normals are like, his big normals are way too slow, and they don't really hit people, and they don't have a lot of armor. So if he had like his command grab, which is already projectile invincible, to have armor, he could use it like a cooler 3H or something like that. It would improve his neutral. 214X series also now has armor, and the reason I did this is again similar. It would improve his neutral. 214X and 2 through 6S now give greater meter build on hit. They used to give better meter build on hit, and they removed it for like no reason because 16 used to be the best character in the game. But that was way too much, and now he could barely build a single bar by himself. So just give that back. He could build average meter at least, or even it's still below average. It's just like let him play the game. Fix an issue where when armoring attack, 5H has additional recovery. If you didn't know, if you armor an attack with his 5H, for some reason, if it counter hits them, he actually can't super dash after it because it adds additional recovery, and he can't cancel into super dash fast enough. So that shit is really stupid. I don't know why it's in the game, but I want that gone. Yamcha doesn't need a lot of buffs. The only reason he's not played very much is because he's too honest, so give him his old Wolfang flashback and increase his level 1 damage slightly because that shit is atrocious right now. That's literally all he needs. He's a great support character, but he just needs to be a cheaper character. That's all. Ssj Vegeta. Make his 2 through 6H true block string into vanish, and you can now choose what side 214H, which is the EXDP, lands an opponent by holding a direction. You might be wondering, this character sucks. Why didn't you buff him enough? Well, the answer is he doesn't actually suck that bad. He has good neutral, and he has like decent damage. He has a DP. He has pretty good assist, right? Like A assist isn't like what it used to be, but it's still a pretty good assist. These are just like quality of life changes. His real issue is entirely within how shit his buttons are, but there's no way that they're gonna change that. And also, it's part of his character. So I have a need. I have a feeling of necessity to leave his buttons the same, despite they make his character worse, just like Krillin in a way. But yeah, Gogeta Blue. 2L speed increased to 10 frames. That is literally only 1 frame. I didn't want to make it 9 or 8 because it's a slide and it has super good range, and now it's safe on block, so I didn't feel a need to make it that much better. But it would just be a nice quality of life change because, again, super dash plus assist and some of his other mix-ups. 5S and 2S recovery decreased. This would just improve his neutral a little bit because for no reason whatsoever, his 5S and 2S have more recovery than regular beams. For no reason. So a beam from full screen is minus 16 or 17 on block, and Gogeta's is minus 24 on block. That's stupid for no reason. And especially when base Goku has a faster beam that's only minus 9. Get rid of that shit. Make it less recovery. And the last thing is, can now choose when 2 through 6H string ends on block. If you don't know, his EX 2 through 6H thing, you can't, the Rekka isn't actually a Rekka when you do that. It just does all 3 of the hits and they're all true block string. If you could change what amount of hits you could do, it could improve his pressure by a huge margin. And it's already, like, not the worst pressure, but it could stand to be better. And that would be one way of doing it. And his neutral isn't really buffed. I can't really think of a great way to buff his neutral that wouldn't, like, sort of ruin certain things about his character or, like, giving him an entirely different moveset. So I left this here so you guys in the comments can think of some stuff. Tien barely needs anything. Self-damage needs to be blue life, and I've been saying this for a very long time. Tien needs blue life on his self-damage, and the reason why Tien is down here is because, yeah, if you are really skimping out on a TOD and you want to spend, you know, like 0.5 less bar, Tien exists, but at the same time, any other time that you want to DHC into a level 1, his is just killing him for no reason. If you could, I don't know, heal off that blue life, I don't know, that would kind of fix that. And to balance that out, he no longer receives, if you didn't know already, if he's on Anchor and he's in Spark, he receives mitigated, which means short lessened damage to himself when he does his supers. Get rid of that mitigated damage, but make all of it blue life. That would probably just fix the problem. And this is even a maybe. He doesn't even really need this. Just slightly decrease the recovery on his beam. Napa. I think these are fair changes. These would make Napa really, really high tier. These would make him fucking disgusting. Cybermen are no longer color based on input, which basically means if you do different Cyberman inputs, LMH, they're different colors, and I don't know why that is. That nerfs his mix-up a little bit. It's still really good. He still gets 50-50s with them, but make it even harder. B assist. Both hits will now come out on block with a gap between, similar to Roshi B. Is that broken? Probably, but Nappa sucks, so give him this. And Napa doesn't actually even suck, but, like, he has flaws, and those flaws are important. So for the price of playing a character with such flaws, like worse neutral than other characters, worse mid-screen combos than other characters, give him this. He'd be a really great mid, like a support character. You get, like, base Vegeta point with Nappa, that should be OD. 5H has armor on frame 9. The reason I did this is to improve his neutral, and also maybe his pressure, I don't know. Yeah, that's all Napa needs. Janemba, 1 change. That's literally all Janemba needs. 2 all now hits low. You might be wondering why this is important. Janemba just needs some way to hit people better, and that would fix that really easy. It's also better for his pressure. And, yeah. And actually, I would even argue... There we go. That's it. That's all Janemba needs. Trunks. This is the last one I have. Oh, no, I have one more. Trunks. 5S has greater untech time. 214S without the smash has greater untech time. And what this would do is, this is a common complaint with Trunks players, is the 5S and the 214S that change the future have way too little hit stun, and it makes it really hard to vanish and convert off of them in neutral. So this would just be a quality of life change that makes it easier to convert off of the hits. And also, potentially, with the 5S has greater untech time, it would also be a combo buff. And it might also be a change the future Oki buff, if you don't know. Change the future on Oki can meaty people, and you can JL and convert off of it. But if it had greater hit stun, you wouldn't have to guess to convert off of it. You could just do it on reaction, and that would be really useful. And the only reason I did this is because his frame data is not really very strong. So this would be block stun increased. I want this to be safe on block. This is recovery decreased. I want this to be safe on block. But the reason I decreased the recovery instead of increased the block stun on the 5M is so he could use it in neutral a little bit better. It's already a 9-frame button, but for the range it goes and for the speed, it has way too much recovery. So if he could, like, use this and have it be really hard to punish, that would be a great footsies tool. So this is the last change. It only has 1 change. 5S now has a 6S. This is the same thing I did with Cooler. And again, he doesn't have great ways to, like, threaten people horizontally aside from his beam, which is a commitment. So if he had a way to do less commitment and threaten people from full screen range that were approaching him from full screen, that would be pretty useful. So that's it for the changes I would do to, like, mid to low tier characters. I'm also going to do another video later on why my list is the way it is, and I'll have you guys judge me and shame me for it. But, yeah, peace.